Well, if that wasn't a throwback Saturday night in Tiger Stadium to an era a lot of y'all might not want to remember. That felt, did it not, like watching a Les Miles football game. Maybe I'm more in tune to that because I covered all those teams and watched every game, and my goodness, ball control, defense, field position, punt it again. 7 punts, 4 inside the 24, 50 yards or more, suffocating defense. It was an illustration, certainly, that there are many different ways that you can win a football game. And as we have seen through the up until now in the Brian Kelly era, by and large, LSU has won with offense, but they have not won at the highest level. They have won games. They have not been competing for championships. You had a 4,000-yard passer a season ago. You lost 4 games. They are trying to win now, clearly, in very, very, very different ways. And Brian Kelly was heated after the game. He had the interaction with Michael Cobble. On Monday, Brian Kelly apologized publicly and said he apologized privately to Cobble as well. I can certainly understand a coach defending his team. Coaches talk through the media all the time. The bottom line is the question that Cobble was asking was the question to ask. Listen, LSU's defense is objectively awesome. 5 interceptions. That hadn't happened since you did it to Matt Corral in the COVID year, in that game in the rain. Remember when Kayshawn went off for 300 yards that game? Unbelievable defensively. Special teams were outstanding. Damian Ramos made both of his field goals. We just talked about Grant Chadwick. 7 punts, 4 inside the 20, 1 out at the 6, 1 out at the 2. He was awesome. Aaron Burrell's a touchback machine. Your coverage is really good. Returns with Thomas and Barry and Brown, fantastic. The offense is the question. And it's a matter of it's not can you win games? You can beat Florida with that strategy. Can you win a championship with that strategy? Ultimately, you're going to have to find some offense. And after the game, throughout his 13-minute post-game press conference, I think Brian Kelly finally started to simmer down a little bit and acknowledged all these things are true in the way they're going about winning right now.
You guys were here when we had a prolific offense. That doesn't work. You can't outscore people and be a championship team. You can build your offense around the defense if it's that good. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get better on offense, be more efficient. But at the end of the day, we're not going to put our defense in a bad situation. And that's what we have to get better at. If there's some takeaways from here, it's really about ball control, flipping the field, doing a better job of being more efficient in third down situations when we can run it in third and short. And maybe we got to get in the eye like we did at the end there with a fullback back there and pound the football. If that's what we have to do, that's what we're going to do.
My goodness. I formation, flipping the field. Like, we have jumped into the DeLorean, cranked that thing up to 88, and we're smack dab in the middle of 2015, y'all. We just went back a decade. Listen, in all seriousness, I am serious about that stuff, but all last week, we talked about one thing primarily. Now, we had branches off of the tree, but we talked about one thing primarily. What was it? We talked about how a year ago, Florida's defensive front wrecked LSU. That was the jumping off point for basically every conversation we had about this game last week. You know the numbers because I said them 1,000 times. 7 sacks, 11 TFLs, 14 hurries, 20 pressures. It was awful. You dominated the stat sheet in Gainesville a year ago, and you lost the game for one reason. You couldn't control their defensive front. Their defensive front wrecked the game. They forced a turnover deep in LSU territory. They were able to rip off a 55-yarder late. LSU would get on the precipice of the red zone. Sack, TFL, negative play, pushes you back. Happened over and over again, kept that game close, and ultimately Florida made the play late to win it. This game was completely flipped from a year ago. Florida had 23 first downs to LSU's 10. Florida outgained LSU 366 to 322. By the way, 51 of that came on Caden Durham's busted run at the end of the game. They outpassed you 287 to 220. They held the ball for 38 minutes. You had it for 22. They dominated the yardstick. But they threw 5 picks because DJ Lagway is not a good quarterback. As I've said, much to the chagrin of many now for a while. For everybody who wanted to pump up this year's quarterbacks, said, oh, let me see it. DJ Lagway was playing his first real true road game. He came off the bench last year against Tennessee. He played at 2-10 Florida State, which was no big deal. This was his first real SEC road game. How do you think it was going to go? About like it did. 5 interceptions for the LSU defense. Hat tip to DeShawn Spears. Pick 6. How about A.J. Halsey's interception right before the end of the first half, which got you 3 points? Beautiful ball skills. You could see some of the reason why we've harped on some of these guys since fall camp. You're seeing it now, like with Halsey. We talked about Halsey all throughout fall camp. Nobody saw him. He wasn't here in spring. You go lay eyes on 13, and you're like, oh, I get it. Okay. DJ Pickett gets his first career interception. TaMarcus Cooley playing center field, picks one off in the end zone. DBU, yes, please. There is no objection to any of that. LSU's defense was awesome in this ball game, and you did what you had to do to win an SEC game and not let Florida do the one thing that could have gotten you beat. And LSU executed that to perfection. Now, here's the problem. And I think Brian Kelly knows it, whether he wants to acknowledge it, talk about it, whatever the case may be. Your offensive line, the line we've talked about since spring and into fall camp, clearly is a gigantic liability such that it is altering the way you approach offensive football. On Saturday night, and I know Brian Kelly on Monday disclosed the torso injury with Nussmeier. He's practicing fully. He's not even listed on the injury report. I'll give you more opinion on that later, but my opinion is it's not a thing. In the same way that the knee tendonitis that everybody wanted to make a thing wasn't a thing, this isn't a thing. But I'll get to more of that later. The bottom line is teams are playing coverage against you because they know you got great receivers. So even when you have a favorable matchup to run the football, you can't run the football. You couldn't move bodies against Louisiana Tech. That's the problem. This offensive line is pass blocking fine. Garrett Nussmeier was not sacked. He was pressured one time in the football game. Pass blocking, they've been fine. They can't move bodies in the run game. And in particular, on Saturday, it was the right side of your line. It was Josh Thompson, and it was Weston Davis. Their Pro Football Focus grades were in the 40s. Just not good enough. So this is a team right now that has got to figure out its offensive line. And you can't go into free agency. I mean, you did that already. You added Braylon Moore and Josh Thompson. But Weston Davis has got to get better. Paul Mabenga, by the way, hat tip to Paul Mabenga, who was your highest graded offensive lineman in this game. After a year ago in this game, gave up 8 pressures in that game a year ago. He was awful a year. And in this game, answered the bell, was your highest rated offensive lineman. Credit where it's due. Hat tip to Paul Mabenga. Played well. Now, I know a lot of people want to flip out about the offense, about Joe Sloan, about Nuss's injured, whatever. Fine. This is my contention, and this might be proven wrong. So in the next 2 weeks, when we come back here on Mondays, we'll reevaluate this conversation. But here's my contention. Watching 3 games, listening to Brian Kelly talk about it, I think they had 2 very tough tests defensively with Clemson on the road and Florida at home, and they were not going to let that offensive line get them beat like they did last year in Gainesville. So they were going to lean on their defense, special teams, and just do enough offensively to win, and they've done that. They know they got to be better offensively. Now, the next 2 weeks, it lightens up significantly. You're at home against an FCS school, and then you're at Ole Miss, who stinks. Did you watch Ole Miss against Arkansas? Arkansas put up 500 yards, threw for 300, ran for 200. Arkansas went up and down the field on Ole Miss. Their defense stinks. If in the next 2 weeks, this offense doesn't show marked improvement, then you got a real problem. Because I can understand offensive struggles at Clemson and at home against Florida because those defenses have pros at every level. Southeastern Louisiana and Ole Miss do not. So, I'll give them 2 more weeks. I understand all y'all want to burn the whole thing down right now. I get it. I know what fans do. I'll give them 2 more weeks. I'll give them 2 more weeks to see how this looks against dramatically inferior competition. And you're going to say, what about Tech? I can chalk that up to a letdown spot. I'm okay chalking that up to a sandwich spot between Clemson and Florida. Weird look with the 3-3-5 stack. Anyway, next 2 weeks. If the offense isn't dramatically improved in the next 2 weeks, you got real problems. But I suspect LSU is going to go out there against a dramatically inferior Southeastern Louisiana team and get going offensively. I think they're going to do the same thing on the road against Ole Miss. See how it goes. But the Tigers are 3-0. They're ranked number 3 in the country, and they got a 2/3 of the game. Defense, special teams are playing like a national championship level. Offense needs to catch up. How much can they make up? Good news is they got time to do it before they should really be threatened again. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.